In this video, I'll be showing you how you can download your collection from Recollector on your Mac or PC to the Recollector app running on an iPhone or an iPod Touch or an iPad. I'll be showing this demonstration on a Mac, but it works just the same if you're running on a PC. The only difference on a PC is that you will be using iTunes, for which you have to download the free version of iTunes from the Apple App Store to your PC. Of course, on a Mac, iTunes comes already installed. All right, let's open Recollector. And I have a collection here that I'm ready to transfer to my iPod Touch. And so to get that process started, from the File menu, I choose Export for Download to Recollector App. The program then asks me where I want to store the export file. This export is done as a single file, including both data and images. And I'm going to accept the defaults that it's giving me here, a file named Iceland Maps under app.xml, and it's going to put it on the desktop. Click Save. And now the program is asking me how images are to be handled. By default, all the images in the collection are included in the download in thumbnail form. And if this is the first time you're transferring the collection, it generally makes sense to do that, though you are given options as well to exclude images or to include only one image per file. You can also control the size of images. I find that images with a maximum thumbnail size of 250 by 250 works pretty well on my iPod, so I'm going to leave it at that. Finally, there's a choice about whether or not to download full-size images. If you download full-size images, then the thumbnail image on the iPhone or iPod or iPad acts as a hyperlink, which if you click it, shows you the image in full resolution, which you can pan and zoom around, and you can really look at all of the details. So if you're interested in being able to look at your images at full resolution, you should include this full-size choice. All right, let's click OK. And now you can see a progress dialog shows that it's writing out the data, primarily writing image data, out to the export file. And in a moment, when it's done, it will be time to bring up iTunes, because we use iTunes to do the final bit of transfer of the data to your device. So we'll click OK. It tells us that where the export file is, and so we'll now open the iTunes window. And we also now need to connect our device to our computer. So I'm going to plug my iPod using the USB cable into the computer, and in a moment we will see up here the little iPod icon. Okay, if I now click on it, it shows me my information about my iPod. But what I really want is this Apps section. So I'm going to click on the Apps menu, and now it shows me all the apps that are installed on my iPod. But what I really want is what's down at the bottom, the File Sharing section. In the File Sharing section, you will see any apps which can share data, can transfer data between your computer and your iPhone or iPod or iPad. And Recollector is one of those apps. So you select Recollector, and you now want to tell it to move the file into the Documents folder on your external device. And the file you want to move is the one that we just created. So let's click Add. Let's navigate to our desktop. And here we find Iceland Maps under app.xml. That's the file that we created. So let's select that, and if you look up at the top, you can see it's transferring it. And now the transfer is done. It shows that that file is now on my iPod. At this point, I can unplug my device. I can close down my iTunes window. And on the device, I can now start up the Recollector app. And if I look for my list of available collections, I'll see a new collection there. And it'll say it's in the Documents folder, and it'll say it's this Iceland Maps collection, and I can select it, and I will now be off and running using it. If I already had the Recollector app running on my iPod at the time I did the transfer, I might have to choose the option of refreshing the list of available collections so that the application knows that this new collection is there. Okay, now it may be that a week or two later you've made some changes to your collection. You've added a few records, or you've edited some records, you've added some images, and you now want to essentially sync up your collection back on your external device. And you do that by simply running the same process again. You export for download to the Recollector app again, and you can put the file in the same place. And it tells you that it's replacing an existing one if it's there, which is fine. But now you'll notice in the handling of images, there's a different choice that's shown, which is to include only images that have been added or updated since the last time we did this export. And this is the choice you usually will want to make. This means that you do not always have to download all of your images, which can take a while, particularly if you have many images, and particularly if you're downloading full-size images. And so this secondary export will just essentially do an update. It'll be quick, and you'll have your collection synced onto your external device. So that's the process involved in moving a collection from your computer to your iPhone, your iPod Touch, or your iPad.